All right, well, welcome to Tomato Grafting Day. Right, Ziggy? Yeah? Time to graft tomatoes? Yes, it is. So here are 3 trays of different heirloom types I'm going to graft. Some got a little sun skull. They're packed in there. I'll talk about that a little later, but those are the scions. Those are for the top. And down here, you see very different leaves. This is a DRO141TX. It's a rootstock, and one of the things that gives it such vigor and such good root strength is it was developed from different types of wild tomatoes. I think it's a cross. Am I getting this right, Ziggy? And so that's a tray. I didn't have perfect germination. I planted 72 cells. I think I have about 60 in there, and I've got my list here of the ones I want to graft. And try and do 2 of each of one I definitely want to have, and a couple just one of that I hope to have, but it's not the end of the world if they don't work out. So anyway, let's get started. Put this camera down where do not harm. Okay, so let me just show a few of the things that we have here for this. So I have my tray ready to go that I'm moving them all into. You see I can pre-sprayed this all very moist, high humidity area because of course the top will be cut off and stuck onto the bottom with no roots. So we want to keep it moist and hydrated. And then I have clips. So there's different kinds of clips. I've used these for several years. You can see this little silicone clip there. You squeeze it, it opens up wider, you put it on. These are great. Last year I found one I like even more. It's basically very similar. These were from Johnny's Seeds. And this one, you see, has a round additional side, and what that is doing is gives me a place to put skewers to give additional support to the early grafts. I have, these are the 2mm. I have some 1.5mm. They're probably too small. Then I have a few of these regular spring clamps. They're a little different. These are substantially larger. I've used them. They're not nearly as good, but when you have something that's too big for the others, you got to use them. So, first thing we do is we'll put our list aside so it won't get wet. And get some of our rootstocks. And there you go. See all different sizes. And for cutting these, I have found there's really nothing better than these old style razor blades. And the thing you want to do is bend it in half and snap it, and then I have 2. And one side is not quite as treacherous as the other, so it's very useful. Just to start with, I'm going to just take these all off. You see where I'm cutting, there's the cotyledon bud and then first leaf. So I'm cutting right above the first leaf. Again, I'll explain that. Now this smaller one might need a 1.5. And if I wanted to, I could root these and try and use the tops again. Some people do. But too much effort, and I do find they become tougher. They don't graft quite as well. Get to my list, and I am looking for Neves Azorian Red as my first one. So that's back in here. Reach over and get one of those. And I'm going to look actually for a smaller one just off of its head. Just take that top right off. And again, you have to look. Sometimes these stems are quite thick. That makes it much harder to work with. So what I should have done, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, is actually marked my cups first. I use a silver Sharpie, and so this is Neves. And I'm going to do Matsu Express. I'm going to do Stump of the World. Do another Stump of the World. And then I'm going to do a Biscaya Rosa. I hope I have some of those. Yes, Biscaya Rosa. Biscaya Rosa. Of course, I'm holding it crazy. It's kind of hard to get these right, but anyway. So, again, let's turn it around to where Neves is going to be. And I'll get myself a skewer ready. And I've got my clip. So now I need to get these ready. So again, there's the cotyledon bud and then the next bed up. Most people would graft down here and then you don't have any shooting out from the rootstock. But I've found just when I'm planting out in the garden with rain and so forth, it's too easy for the scion, which is so close, to start trying to root out. So I go a little higher, cut at a diagonal like that. Let's see what I've cut away. Nice. This is called a splice graft. Okay. So now go to my piece I'm going to use, and I'll look for a good place to graft this. And I am actually, so I'll be taking this off, and I'll go ahead and cut right there. And you see I've got a nice corresponding splice. And there's a lot of leaf on here. So I'm actually gonna take that main leaf off. Just this one little piece with this bud, all right? So now, what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that the sides of this clamp are pushing on the outsides of the splice. Not this way, because it'll pinch the graft apart. I want it this way so it's pushing it together. So I rotate my scion to the right direction. I will slide this down until it's completely onto my rootstock, and you can see it just sticking out at the top there. I'll just tuck this in. So it's just covering, and slide that up while I'm holding them together. And in the end, let's see if we can see that cut. You can see that perfect cut held together, that perfect splice. And I'll even just slide this up a hair. And again, I have to put some downward pressure to make sure that I've got a good, even surface to surface connection. All right. I hope this is viewable. There you go. You can see that surface to surface. All right. So that's what we do. These then, I will take them. One moment here. So you can see I just put them in here where it's going to stay nice and moist. I'll do the others, of course, but just to show you for now. They go right into this chamber. I take this down to the basement. It's about 70 degrees now. I'll actually cover it, just put a Glad bag over it so it's dark as well, covered. I do not spray the grafts. Some people do that, and I've had trouble with little drops of water, you know, sitting in that grafting clip and being a place where you start getting adventitious roots coming out of that scion. And once roots start forming from the scion, they are less likely to heal well. So you can always pinch them off, but it's also harder to get a good graft. So I haven't had a problem doing it this way. There'll be 60 of these in there when I'm done, and then we'll go from there. So I did promise I'd say why I have so many tomato plants in all these. I am going to take the tops I want from all these. They're a little tight and unhappy right now, but they're good enough for grafting, and then I'll cut out the extras or divide them and get a whole bunch of seedlings that are going off to the PTA plant sale. I donate them and they make a bunch of money, and it helps the teachers, helps students, and that way I'm sure to always have many choices for my grafting. And frankly, if a graft doesn't take, I can always grow one that's not grafted. But for here in Virginia, with the heat and humidity, the soil-borne diseases, there's definitely no reason not to grow a grafted tomato if you can find one, or you can do it yourself, because my results have certainly been much better. Even though they get the foliar diseases still, a rootstock is not going to keep you from that. The inherent vigor in that rootstock and the strength means that when they're growing, these plants will make an incredible root into the ground, and throughout the season that's going to push the nutrients and water and keep the top healthier. So the healthier top on these heirlooms is going to do a much better job pushing through those blights, fusariums, septoria spot, and all those things. So I generally don't lose plants. They stay alive till frost, which I'm really happy with. The other thing is they also, with the large tomatoes in particular, I used to see smaller and smaller tomatoes throughout the season. With the rootstocks and all that feeding into the plant, still have nice big tomatoes at the end of the season, as long as I'm taking care of them, making sure there's good soil nutrition and good watering. If you don't water them enough, if you don't give them some sort of fertility to keep up that nutrition for the plant, they're going to die just like any other plant. There's nothing magic about this, but it works, and it's worth the effort for me, because I just get that much more out of the plants. Right, so it's about 20 minutes later now, and I've gotten through 18 of them. Like I said, there's 60 total. You can see them taking off the foliage from the scion, except for one leaf and the terminal bud. You can see they're held nicely with those sticks. Keeps me also from bumping them and knocking it off when I'm checking them. So I'll do the rest later and get all 60 done. But I think Ziggy's ready for a walk or something. So we'll put them in here, put them somewhere dark for a couple days, completely covered. They'll stay nicely hydrated in there. And then I'll start slowly opening this up a little bit at a time, a little crack down at the bottom, get them in some just room light, and slowly bring them back to the harsh reality of the real world. About 7 days usually is what it takes to get through the healing process and make sure they're good. I may lose a few, but I'm usually getting about 95% to make it. So this process is working pretty well, and it's not that tough if you just follow those steps and get that good splice cut, get them lined up, and take them through the healing carefully. They seem to make it, and like I said, it's definitely been worth it for me. It's more work, but if I get another month or two out of the plants and more production, I'll do it.